Hello coconuts, you're tuning in to Coconut Didi and this is your own very special Didi Coco. How are you all today? So today we have a topic which I would say has started this whole podcast and has taken over my life for the past 12 years. Obviously I'm talking none other than periods. Periods are shit. They're terrible. They are painful. They are just evil, okay? Even if you don't have symptoms of extreme pain or tummy aches or diarrhea, nausea, whatever, even if you don't have low moods, it still stands the fact that periods in themselves are a big inconvenience. Okay? You're literally bleeding and you cannot control that. It just comes out whenever it wants, and God forbid you are sat down for more than an hour and then you get up, because the Niagara Falls that comes after that, it winds me up rotten. I literally would dread having to get up, especially getting up from bed, because when I tell you, out of the 12 years that I have had periods, for 11 years, consistently, I have ruined not only my underwear, my sleeping pants, but also my mattress cover and my mattress, because I would go through everything, and it wouldn't necessarily be whilst I slept. If it wasn't whilst I slept, it would be in that moment that I got up from bed so that I could wake up and start my day, because it would just go whoosh. And how was anything supposed to stop that? It would go through the sides, it would go everywhere. It wasn't fun. I don't think periods are ever going to be fun. So even without all of the issues or pain it can bring, just in itself, periods are a big inconvenience, because you can't control it. It's shitty. But it gets more shittier, guys. Very common symptoms are cramps, which can go from mild to very, very painful. And for anybody listening and they're like, oh, mild, you should be able to handle it. No. Let me tell you, as somebody who has experienced every cramp possible from the whole spectrum of cramps, the ones that make me vomit, double over in pain and scream, are just as terrible as that low level, like thrumming, constant off cramp. The one that is right there, like on my ovary, and it's very low level. It's like someone is like gently, like, you know, just tapping their fingers on it, like their nails, and it's very low level, and that will make me cry, because it's hella annoying. I would rather be in actual, like, full-on screaming pain than to have that. I mean, that's just me, but like I'm telling you, the cramps, no matter what form they take, they're annoying, they hurt, they will fuck up your life. So not only do we have cramps, but let me bring you into the world of period pooping. There is nothing worse than being on your period and already having the mess of all of that blood, and then you've got to poop, because it's never nice. Period pooping is just like you're constantly pooping, and your stomach is cramping, everything's being forced out. You just want to like sit on the toilet and cry. You don't want to start to deal with that mess. You just sat there for 20 minutes trying to gather up the courage, like, I'm a mess, I need to clean myself up, I don't want to do this, but you have to, because you need to get on with your day. And it's just not fun. It can be painful. It can give you very unfortunate situations and circumstances. So yeah, pretty shitty. But that's not all. You can get migraines, you get headaches, you feel lightheaded, you can be dizzy, you can faint. There is a million and ten more. Your lower back hurts. Oh my goodness. I already have the lower back of a 109-year-old grandma, okay? Because I don't even know why. I mean, okay, I can admit that my posture is not great. My posture, she's struggling. But also, I think it's genetics. I think we all have shitty backs in my family. I don't think it's just me. I mean, I know I've ruined it more, and that's why I'm a hunchback. But yeah, I'm just going to blame some on genetics because it makes me feel better. So, not only is there lower back pain, but ooh, let me tell you, if you are one of the girls who is unfortunate enough to get thigh pain, inner thigh pain, and nothing you do helps it, you can get someone to sit on it. You can put a hot water bottle between your legs. You can literally whack your leg against the wall. It will not work. That muscle ache will be there, and that brings me to tears because it's not something I can do anything for. It will legit bring me to tears because I'm annoyed, I'm mad, I'm upset, and I'm in pain. I'm in pain. We've done that, and we're talking about all of these symptoms, and you're like, wow, is there anything else? Yes. Of course there's something else. So we've just described physical pain. Never mind, we haven't even talked about like nausea or how you don't want to eat and then you're suddenly ravenous like 2 days in. But there is mental effects. Periods will make you feel low. The lead up to your period, it will make you feel low. It can even give you anxiety, okay? You're there, you're kind of mad, you have mood swings, you're like, oh my god, like, I hate everyone. Then you start bleeding and you're like, oh, makes sense, checks out. Why? You already have like the pain and it wants to give you that as well. Like, no thank you. How dare you do this to me? But then some people were extra unlucky. We're extra unlucky because there are period conditions. Period conditions, as if having a period itself with the normal kind of range of symptoms isn't enough. There are period conditions. And two, I'm going to briefly mention, and one I'm going to go into more just because I have it, so I can speak from experience. So the first one we're going to go over is polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS for short. And basically what happens in PCOS is that your ovaries, they become enlarged and contain fluid-filled sacs, and the eggs will be in there. And because these are fluid-filled sacs, they won't release the egg, so you don't get a period. So your periods are very irregular. Another common sign is you have unbalanced hormones. So you're going to have an excess of androgen, which is a male hormone in your body, which gives you excessive facial hair or body hair. Insulin is usually very high. PCOS women are quite resistant to this, so their body produces it in higher levels to try and overcome this. They do also have increased production of testosterone. Again, that's with the body hair. What this essentially brings about is, first of all, your periods are irregular, so you aren't ever sure when it's gonna come, which messes with your head because you could have 1,000,001 symptoms and you wouldn't know that they're up to your period because you wouldn't be expecting it. So you can legit think you're going crazy, being like, oh, I'm so mad at everyone, or I'm depressed, or I'm anxious. Why does it come out of nowhere? Like, is it me? And then a week later, you've got your period after like 2 years and you're like, oh my god. So yeah, not great. We're gonna move on to the next one, which is endometriosis. And with endometriosis, what happens is tissue similar to the lining of the womb starts to grow in other places, such as the ovaries and fallopian tubes. What this means is you get a lot of pain because these womb cells, they will shed just like the ones that are in the right place. So when they shed, they're not shedding in the right place, so everything is collecting. Everything collects and it causes pain. Endometriosis is probably one of the most painful period condition that I've heard about. There isn't much help for it. It's very hard to diagnose. It is not a pleasant journey to go through to be officially diagnosed with it. So the third one, and the one that we're gonna go into the most depth in, because I unfortunately have it, is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, or PMDD for short. Now, this in itself is a highly contested term because half of the medical community believes it exists and the other half just want to call it extreme PMS. So I myself am actually diagnosed with extreme PMS and menorrhagia, which is heavy bleeding. And essentially what it means is the same thing. However, when you go to a workplace and you're applying or whatever, and you say to them, I have extreme PMS, they're just gonna look at you and be like, okay, so you have PMS like every other woman in the world who has periods. They can turn up, they're fine. They don't need to take like 10 minutes in the break room to cry, or they don't need to specifically put out notes saying, I'm in this PMDD week and I'm just not feeling great, so if you could hold off on these meetings until then, yada yada yada. So I myself will use the term premenstrual dysphoric disorder because it has more of an impact and I need people to take me seriously because it does affect my life. I probably should tell you what it is. It's PMS, but far more serious. It has severe irritability to the point where 1 minute you're fine and the next minute you are literally off the walls, angry, and you don't know why. Like, you just really want to hurt someone. It will also give you depression. I had monitored my mood for almost 2 years to collect evidence, because the doctors were telling me, are you sure you don't have depression? And I would say to them, no, I feel like I'm two different people. I will be fine, and then there will be like 1 or 2 weeks during the month that I just feel so terrible and I cannot explain it and I do not know where it's come from. And they would tell me, oh, it's depression, like you're depressed. And I'd be like, yeah, but what about all the other 4 weeks of the month where I'm fine? You get what I mean? So I collated my own evidence by monitoring my moods, and I can tell you fully that the depression and anxiety will kick in 2 weeks before my period starts. So in the first week it's not that bad. In the second week it builds up so much that there are days where it stops me coming out of bed because I feel the weight of the world on me. The weight of the world is on me, and I truly feel like there is nothing that I can do. That I am so insignificant in this world that if I even tried, I would be wasting my effort, my time, and I would be ridiculed, and I cannot leave my bed. And normally I'm a very strong, confident person. My favorite thing to do is to get up on stage in front of 1 million people and just talk shit. Literally talk shit, wing it, like I always do. I wouldn't even plan for it because that's how much confidence I have in myself. But then to have this, where 2 weeks before my period starts, suddenly everything is dark, everything is bleak. The things I looked forward to, I don't want to do anymore. I have no energy. I feel tired. I don't want to brush my hair. I don't want to go shower. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to eat. I can't sleep properly. I don't talk to people the same. I think they don't care about me. I get accusatory. I swear at them. I scream at them. I say, you're not doing this for me. You're not doing that for me. Or you said this to me. How dare you say that to me? But on a normal day-to-day basis, it wouldn't upset me that you told me that the sweet corn that I made wasn't perfectly seasoned. Do you get what I mean? These symptoms, so I get them 2 weeks before my period starts, which is amazing, obviously. Then I I used to bleed for 2 weeks. Now, 12 years later, I bleed for 9 days. So, well done, uterus. Well done, ovaries. You've done me a nice service there, because I think if we were still on 2 weeks, I don't know how I would have survived, because 2 weeks is a long ass time. Truly, a long ass time. Anyway, so I have had the pain for 2 weeks, the symptoms for 2 weeks. 2 to 3 days into my period, I'll still have them. By the 3rd day, they've disappeared. Then I'm just dealing with the actual period pain, the fact I've got cramps, that I've got a migraine, that I feel sick, that blood is coming out of me, and then it's all good and fine and whatever, but my period cycle is still a 30-day cycle. So 2 weeks I've had off my symptoms. Then I bleed for 9 days. So 14 and 9, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So that's 23 days. And there's 30 to 31 days in a month. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's about a week per month that I'm not in some type of pain. Yeah, that's interesting. I've never calculated it like that before. I don't know, man. Like, how am I even living at this point? That's wow. That's really put it into perspective for me. So yeah, so for a week per month, I'm fine. I don't have any type of pain. If this was my only medical condition, which it isn't, but if it was, then I'd have just 1 week free of pain, which is unfortunate and quite sad, actually. Oh no. As you can see, it sucks. It sucks to have periods. They can be very bad, and trying to be diagnosed with any type of period condition is a very long battle. And I only got diagnosed 2 years ago, and that's because I ended up bedridden for a year, and so I kind of was forced into getting a checkup on every aspect of my life by my mum, which I'm forever grateful for, because it wasn't normal for someone like me back then to be bedridden for a year, to feel like I couldn't face the world. Because like I've said, I'm a very confident person. I've always been a very confident person. I have always been the person who's like, let me do the presentation, let me do the speaking, and I would never get nervous, I would never get anxious, and I never got anxious until my period issues started playing up. Otherwise, I had never experienced anxiety in my entire life. I had never experienced depression. So yeah, thank you, periods. That is brilliant. Oh, don't you love them? But this is why we as women, we need to be open about periods. Because they fucking suck. They hurt. They give us pain. They give us discomfort. And why should we live in discomfort when we don't have to? I see a lot of families, especially in the Asian community, where it's taboo to talk about periods. It's taboo to say, you know what? I know you asked me to make this food for you, or asked me to do this, but I'm actually on my period and I feel very uncomfortable right now. I'm actually, like, I have cramps, and I feel quite dizzy. Is it okay if I just sit here and you ask someone else to do it? Why is that so wrong to say? The minute you try and say something, it's usually other women who tell you to be quiet. Shh, we don't mention those things, it's a private thing. But why? Especially in a family setting, why? It's pain, you're in discomfort, your family should be helping you. I'm very open with my family. I mean, I have to be because of my condition, because They need to know why I'm screaming at them and why I'm making their life a living hell. They need to know if I need extra support. For example, if I'm having a particularly bad night and I need my mother to come sleep with me just in case I try to do anything to myself, or if my thoughts get too dark, or if I feel too anxious that I have a panic attack during the night. I need my mum there with me, and I'm not ashamed to say it, that this is what my condition does to me. But my family need to know, because if I don't tell them and I suffer in silence, what if something happens? And it doesn't always have to be that serious, but you need to let people know. It's the small things as well. I shouldn't even call them small things. The fact that you're in discomfort, you're in pain, you're feeling dizzy, you're feeling sick, whatever, you might have a migraine, a headache, I don't care, but you're in pain or discomfort of some kind. You should be able to tell your family, you know what? Please, not today. I'm in pain, or I'm going to be in pain for the next 3 days because of my period. So if you can make things that don't involve like me having to make them, or if we can go on takeouts or whatever, or if we can adjust things, you should be able to do that. It shouldn't be such a taboo thing. And women, we need to teach boys, sons, siblings about periods. I myself have experience trying to talk to my siblings and they go, no, don't tell me, ugh, disgusting. I'm the one who has to deal with it. I'm the one who has to clean it up. I'm the one who has to look at it, feel it, see it, smell it. Alright, so don't talk to me about disgusting. If I'm in pain and you care about me, bitch, you're gonna have to understand in the best way you can. First, let me tell you, let's start there. Okay, let's make a start, and we need to tell them, because they need to know they need to be a bit kinder. They need to be there for you. They need to be more willing to do more stuff because you're in pain. And I'm not saying take the piss, girls. Nobody's saying the girls are going to take the piss. None of us are going to be like, oh yes, I'm on my period, so I'm not going to do anything at all. Because we're still going to do shit. Sometimes we will do it as a distraction. Sometimes we'll do it just because it's routine. Sometimes we'll do it because, like, I don't know, maybe it helps the aggression come out. But we're not going to sit here doing nothing just because we're bleeding. But there's things we would like to, have a rest and not have to do. And this applies to the workplace as well. I feel like every woman should be open in the workplace. If you're on your period and you need to go, like, cry in the break room because you've got cramps, then go. If someone sees you, so what? You're allowed to have feelings, you're allowed to have pain, you're allowed to have discomfort. There's fucking blood coming out of you. I don't know, like, what more can I say to make you understand? Like, everything you're feeling is valid and you can go do whatever the hell you want because you're on your period and it sucks. Literally. And you need to be open. When I started one of my jobs, I was very open. It did take me a week or two to settle in, because it was my first full-time job dealing with this issue that I knew I had. So I sat my manager down and I go, I would like to talk to you about this period issue that I have. It's premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's essentially PMS, but extremely worse. It gives me depression, it gives me anxiety. So there are going to be days where I come into work and I'm really tired, or I look like a mess, or I'm teary. And there is no shame in admitting that, in saying that. There were some days where I would go to the break room 4 times a day just to sit and cry, or to have a breather, or to unhook my bra so I could feel a little bit of less pressure on my chest because I was feeling anxious. And that was fine. I still did all of my work. I still got it done. I hit my quota. And even if I didn't, they would understand, because look, I'm going through this. If you are true to yourself and you always do your work, and you're there and you're doing your best and you're not taking the piss, they'll be understanding. But we need to start having this conversation, because every woman that doesn't have this conversation, they stop another woman. If your workplace has put in things for you to do with periods, that enables the rest of the women in the office to have things put in place. because I went to my manager about my extreme period condition. And then other ladies in the office would ask me like, oh, you went for 10 minutes, are you okay? Or I saw you go out the room and you were crying, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just have this period condition, it makes me quite upset. So I just went to the break room, I had a cry and I've come back. It normalizes it. It normalizes dealing with it, letting out the way that you need to, and then coming back and owning your shit. And it's fine. But now they know that that's what they can do if they're having a particularly bad period day. I don't know how many women do this, but me, I come into the office with a hot water bottle. I sit there with it on my ovaries. I will push it into my ovaries. I will heat it up, refill it in the kitchen, sit back with it. And since I started doing that in the office, the amount of women that I saw do it after, because they saw me do it, was almost half the office, which is great. But that's because I normalized it, because I brought that in. And this is why we need to speak about it. This is why we need to be open about it. It's not something we should hide. I don't know why people feel like people shouldn't know that we're on our periods. Is it not a normal thing? Is it not a normal thing? Of course it is. And it comes in all different shapes and sizes, and with wings, without wings, high absorbency, low absorbency, high flow, low flow, ruining your bed sheets, ruining your car seat, ruining the stool that you just stood up on. Yeah, it just comes in everything. But we need to be open about it. And you know what? I reckon there should be something in place. Because sometimes you're going to have a really, 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 really awful period day, and you're going to take the day off from work. And there's nothing wrong with that. But imagine if we had something. Maybe if we had something like 2 days per month. If you are someone who menstruates, you are allowed to work from home. I don't know about you, but when I have my period, I'm not in the same level of pain all day. There are times when it calms down, there are times when it picks up, there are times when I drug myself up with ibuprofen or maybe something stronger, and you know what? I'm fine for like 25 minutes to 3 hours. Guess what I can do in that time? The work that you've set for me. Brilliant. Or the best one that I recently found out because of lockdown and working from home is I couldn't sleep because of my period. Well, not my period. I couldn't sleep because of my period issues. So my period hadn't started. But I was in the PMDD 2 weeks. I was in the second week. My anxiety was very bad. I could not sleep. So it got to 5 a.m. and usually I start work at 9 a.m. It got to 5 a.m. and I was like, well, I'm not sleeping, so I may as well start my work day. Then my work day will finish at 12 or 1. And I know myself, when I pull an all-nighter, without fail, when it hits 12, I will knock the fuck out. I will just go to sleep. So the amazing thing that I was able to do, I started work at 5 a.m. I finished at 12 or 1, or whichever one it was of them. The semantics don't matter. But that was my work day done. I'd done everything I needed to. I hit my quota. I emailed my boss at 5 in the morning and I was like, listen, I understand. It's 5 in the morning. I don't expect you to reply. I hope you're still asleep. I hope this doesn't disturb you. It was an email. I'm hoping she don't have emails on her phone. I sent her an email saying, this is how I'm feeling because of my condition. So I'm starting work now. I will do what has been allocated to me. And then I went to bed at 1 p.m. which was great for me because that was the best way for me to work with my period. And there's no shame in that. But we should have something in place like that, so that the work can still be done, so we don't have to take a sick day that inconveniences everyone else or something. Not that it does, but I know that a common worry for women is, oh, if I take this day off, it's an inconvenience and I have to come back, yada, yada, yada. So if we had something in place where 2 days a month people who menstruate are allowed to work from home, or to miss a day and make up the hours later, or even if we had a system where we can make up hours in advance and then you bring on the day and being like, you know what, I'm not coming in today because I'm having a really bad period day. I've got 12 hours in my hour bank and I'm going to use those 12 hours today, so I won't be working today. Thank you, bye. Why can't we have something like that? Or ringing up and being like, hi, I start at 9 a.m. just to let you know it's currently 8 a.m. I know you're in the office at this time, so thank you for picking up. I know we don't usually pick up at this time, but you knew it was me, so thank you for picking up. I'm having a really bad PMDD day, or I'm having a really bad period day, and it's not as bad as usual, but I think I do need to stay home, so I'm gonna work from home today if that's okay. Why can't we have that 2 days a month? Because let me tell you, for most periods, 2 days, you'll have like the worst days of your life. Then afterwards it's okay, it can be quite manageable. I mean, that's not for everyone, but I reckon 2 days for most menstruating people is enough, is brilliant. Some will probably only need one, but I think we should have something like that in place. So to summarize, now that I've talked your ears off about periods and blood and pain, why don't we have something in place for people who menstruate? Because there's so many of us, okay? There is so many of us. Legit, probably half of the population of the world, and yet we don't have anything in place. So I'm gonna say I vote 2 days per month that people who menstruate are allowed to ring up on the day to work and say, I'm working from home, or I'm taking the day off. I mean, there's going to be all sorts of logistics about it, and I hope somebody will figure it out. Maybe I can figure it out later down the line. Maybe I'll bring this up again. For now, the idea is you ring up on the day, I'm having a bad period day, I'm having a bad period condition day, I'm going to work from home today. Or I'm going to not work today. Sorry about that. I'm not going to work today, I'll make up the hours later. Or I'm not going to work today, I have 8 hours in my hour bank, I'm going to use that instead today. That's fine. Doesn't that sound nice? That would reassure me. Because there are some days where I wake up for work and I'm trying to gauge, is this gonna be as bad as a day as I think? And there are days where I go into work and it isn't as bad as I think, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad I came. There are days that I go and I sit there for an hour and I'm like, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have come in. But I stayed there because driving back feeling like that is not an option, and I just push through it, and I'm very sad, and I take like 20 breaks to go cry in the break room. So knowing I have the option twice a month, for every month, to be able to ring up and say, yeah, I'm gonna work from home today, so that I can make that decision if it's a really bad day or an okay day, in my own time, in my own space, in the comfort of my own space, would be perfect, would be brilliant. And I really truly hope that we get something like this, because how can we be half the population and we don't have anything in place to help us during this time? It truly astounds me. Thank you, coconuts. This has been Coconut Didi. If you have periods, I hope they're nice to you. I truly, truly do. If they are not nice to you, please seek help however best you can. If that is through going to the doctors and getting medication, then do that. If that is through having herbal supplements, please do it. If that's through exercise, please do it. Anything you can do to make yourself feel better, please please do it. And hopefully there will be a time where we have things set in place for people who menstruate, where we can take the day off when we need to without worrying. That would be nice. As always, this has been Coconut Didi with your own very special Didi Coco. Thank you so much for listening. Stay well.